Hello, and welcome back to the Legendary Resistance.
Hi there.
Today we're going to be talking about one of the most iconic monsters in all of D&D. It's right there in the name.
Dungeons.
Nope, the other one. Dragons.
Oh,
Dragons.
Dragons.
Welcome to Monster Week 2025. This is a community collaboration with Ginny D and Pointy Hat, designed to bring a whole bunch of tabletop RPG creators on YouTube together.
Thank you very much. We
are happy to be part of this.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. I've been following them forever.
We've got a number of dragon videos that we're going to be releasing throughout the week that are all encompassing our dragon theme.
Oh yeah.
So,
enjoy our dragons.
Without further ado, let's get started.
Dragon G's.
Today we're going to be talking about the differences between the 5th edition Dragon Stat Blocks versus the new 5.5 Dragon Stat Blocks. So
there's some changes, some goods, some bads, and we're going to cover them in depth here.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast kind of set out to make dragons more difficult so that they actually punched where they're supposed to and that they deliver on the iconic dragons are dangerous.
Oh yeah, they're the
motif.
staple of the game. The dragons we're covering here will be the adult dragons of all of the chromatics, the chromatic typings. So if you don't know, there are different types of dragons of the chromatic order and of the other ones, the metallic order. The metallic ones are typically good from Bahamut. The ones that are typically chromatic will be of Tiamat or evil. So that's why we're covering the chromatic ones, because assuming you're running a good party, you're going to be fighting the evil dragons more likely.
Yeah. There are also gem dragons, but those weren't included in the new monster manual yet. We assume they're going to be in another book going forward, so we're just going to leave those out for today. We'll talk about them later. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Well, it might not be a Dragon Week next year.
Yeah, well. Anyway, so let's dive right in. We're going to talk about the 5 chromatic dragons and take a look at the stat blocks.
Yep. So starting off with the stat changes specifically.
Across the board, all 5 of our chromatic dragons have seen reduced saves, which means that when you cast things on them that require a spell save, them to make a save against your spell save DC.
Charisma, Wisdom, Con.
In general, across the board, they all have weaker saves now. So those have been reduced. They used to have buffed saves. They no longer have those. However, they all have, all of them except for the white dragon, who is known for being the weakest of the 5 dragons. Sorry to say it, but somebody had to. All of them have slight charisma buffs. Their saves are still worse, but their charisma skill is a little higher than it used to be.
They can talk you into doing better things, but they are still worse at saves because they don't have that particular buffs to those saving throws.
Yep. It is also worth noting that we are looking specifically at the adult chromatic dragons.
Yes, not the ancient ones. The ancient ones are basically the same as the adult, but more powerful.
Yep. The ancient ones are the same changes, just like scaled up.
Yep. Scaled. Nice.
The only other difference in stat changes is that the blue dragon got a reduced HP by like 11 to
Something
13.
like that,
they have like slightly less HP than they used to.
That's all the stat changes, the basics happened.
Yeah, so in general, I'd say on stat changes, our new dragons are weaker than our old dragons.
Easier to affect. That's good for us players.
That's just in stat changes. Hold up a moment. So, attacks. Let's talk about attacks and breath weapons. So our new attacks, our old attacks used to be tail attacks, claw attacks, and bite attacks. These were in all the stat blocks, and they were just kind of a lot of words, and there wasn't really no reason why you would ever use specific ones over other ones. So now what they've done is they've kind of cleaned that up a bit, and so now we just have rend attacks. Rend attacks are better than the old claw attacks.
But worse of the bite attacks, right?
Worse than the bite attacks.
Yeah.
So they deal some physical damage, and they deal some damage of the dragon's type. And the cool thing about rend attacks is that you can theme them as any of the old attacks. So if they make a rend attack, it could be a claw attack.
If the player's behind it, you can see that the tail swiping over with the flames or the electricity. All those things, yeah.
Exactly. So it's honestly just a cleaner stat block.
Yep.
So that's super great. The only other changes in our attacks are that because we don't have the bite and claw attacks, you have a little bit more freedom when it comes to the multi-attack. They could do 3 tail attacks, or swipe, 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 or they could do claws. It doesn't really matter anymore.
It opens up the thematicness of it.
Yeah.
Now, their breath weapons, however...
Breath weapons, so 3 of our dragons, breath weapons stayed the same. Same damage, same AoE, same save DC, same everything. We have, however, reduced the damage of the blue dragon breath weapon and the red dragon breath weapon.
Which these two have been known for their overly powered breath weapon attacks. I have been on the receiving end of the blue dragon's breath weapon attack, and let me tell you, they're scary. When a paladin goes down in one breath weapon attack because they failed the saving throw, it's scary.
So, now, when I say that the damage on the breath weapons has been reduced, it's not by a ton. It's by a single die. Like, instead of 12d10 on the blue dragon breath weapon, it's 11d10.
Yep.
Like, it's still gonna hurt.
It's not as overwhelming, but it's still gonna suck.
Yeah. So, apart from that, we've cleaned up the attack stat block, and we've basically reduced damage on 2 of the breath weapons. Altogether, between stat changes and breath weapons, I'd say that we're still looking at a weaker stat block altogether than the 5th edition. Now, everyone is all talking about how the new dragons are so much stronger than the old dragons.
Oh, yeah.
So, what is it about the new dragons that is stronger?
We're going to talk about it, and I'm pretty sure it's the spellcastings.
All of our adult or higher dragons, adult or older, besides our white dragon, which once again, white dragon, weakest dragon, still the weakest dragon.
No spells.
It doesn't get any spells, but all the other dragons, adult and older,
He's too cool for spells.
because he's cold, ice, yeah,
cool.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, the other dragons.
All the other dragons get spellcasting.
And their spellcasting is themed towards their type. So fire spells for the red dragon, lightning spells for the blue dragon.
Red dragon gets fireball. They have at will scorching rays. You've got all kinds of cool thematic spellcasting on all the dragons, mostly at will, and which I think is pretty great.
Because it's a dragon. If a lightning dragon wants to breathe a lightning bolt, it makes sense.
Dragons are intelligent creatures, and they're old creatures. So, like, the idea that it wouldn't have learned spellcasting by that point in its life, I mean, seems pretty implausible to me. So I'm glad that they added spellcasting in.
One thing that we like to add to these at the Legendary Resistance is the innate spellcasting of dragons is innate. So it's part of who they are, and it's not really a spell that they're casting other than the effect that is generated. Yeah. So it's not specifically stated in the rules, but we like to say that these things can't really be counterspelled, because counterspell is interrupting the spell casting, and this is just a dragon swiping at you. Or, breathing at you.
Yeah, dragons are just such magical creatures. They're just pulling magic from the weave directly. And so at our table, we like to house rule that you can't counterspell them.
Yes.
But if you don't want to do that at home, that's totally fine.
Correct.
So, spellcasting edition on almost all the dragons, majorly a buff.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And the next huge buff that everyone's talking about and everyone's excited to share.
Legendary actions.
Oh, yeah.
We have been hoping for better legendary actions for dragons for so many years, and we have had to house rule so many of them, and now we finally have them. Just in the stat blocks.
The old legendary actions were the search, the detect legendary action. You're up against your big bad, the scary monster that's supposed to be the terrifying of the campaign, and its legendary action it uses is to search.
It gets to make a perception check.
Woo!
Yay. in Baldur's Gate 3, all the baddies get that for free. It's still not good.
Yep, it's so bad. So typically, this would never be used. And so that's why we're very glad that it got removed from all of the stat blocks.
Yep. So on top of that, our old stat block legendary actions, we have the detect, we have make a tail attack.
Which is basic. It's fine. It's an attack.
It's an attack. It requires them to be next to our PCs. And then we have the only good one, which was the wing attack.
Oh, yeah.
Where the dragon beats its wings, everyone makes a save DC to take damage and be knocked prone, and then it flies half its speed.
It was pretty cool. It could knock people down, but the problem with it was it took up 2 of your legendary actions charges.
Yeah, 2 out of 3.
Yeah, so you could do that only once per round.
So you could do that once, and then you could detect.
Yep.
So legendary actions were lacking on dragons before, and I'm happy to say that they're looking pretty great now.
All right, we're going to now go into the specifics of each dragon's new legendary actions, starting with the white dragon.
Yeah.
Who you claim is the weakest of them.
It really is. So,
hurt his
we
feelings.
haven't said anything about the old ability that all dragons had, which was Frightful Presence.
Oh, yeah.
They have removed that from all of the dragon stat blocks, as one of their actions. However, the white and black dragons have it as one of their legendary actions.
Nice.
So, legendary action, Frightful Presence. New Frightful Presence doesn't have its own save or anything. It's just the dragon casts fear.
And it scares whoever you can scare.
Yep. So it casts the spell Fear as a legendary action. Fantastic in general. It's great. It's also thematic for the white and black dragons, as they're the most ferocious, scary dragons.
Yeah.
On top of that, all dragons, now instead of just getting their typical 3 legendary actions, in their lair, they get an additional legendary action, which is 4.
Yes. Keeping it thematic of if you're fighting a dragon in its lair, it's more powerful there.
Mm-hmm. And that means your big boss dragon fights, which are gonna take place in their lair, are harder and stronger.
Tougher, and it's much more thematic.
Yes. So, continuing with our white dragon, they get a legendary action that all but one of our chromatic dragons have, which is Pounce. Pounce is an upgraded version of the old tail attack.
Yep.
Where what they get to do is they get to move half their move speed and make a rend attack. This is very thematic. I love that they get to move as part of the attack. And on top of that, we get to kind of not use 2 legendary actions at once with that move, so they get to do more things per round.
It's really nice to be able to, if all the players are spreading out, it feels awesome. If you do this 3 or 4 times per round, the dragon pouncing on one player, then pouncing on another, and moving, it makes it feel so much more intimidating and a big bad boss of the fact that it's moving so much and it's doing so many things.
Oh yeah. So, white dragon, we've got our Pounce, we've got our Frightful Presence, and then we have Freezing Burst, which is just shooting out a AoE cold damage.
Yeah.
We love it. We love to see it. That is so thematic. Moving on to our black dragon. Our black dragon has Pounce and Frightful Presence, just like the white dragon. And it has Cloud of Insects that it gets to cast. Which, if you think Cloud of Insects multiple times per round, potentially.
Yeah. It's scary.
Pretty scary. Also thematic to the swamp dwelling black dragons.
Control the insects surrounding it, and they all come towards the players. Oh, that'd be so scary.
So those are kind of our lower tier chromatic dragons.
How's this lower tier?
They're lower tier. They're lower tier. Moving on to our mid tier dragon, our good old green dragon.
Oh yeah.
Our green dragon.
Poison.
Oh yeah. Our green dragon gets to do a Pounce attack, just like the other 2. It's the same. It's great. It's fantastic. Bread and butter. It also gets Noxious Miasma, where it shoots out at a range an AoE of poison. Just kind of I picture it spitting it out, and it just explodes, deals poison damage, potentially poisons. I think it might reduce AC or something like that. It's kind of spooky.
Yeah. Anything else it has?
They also have the mind invasion. Mind Invasion legendary action where they can cast Mind Spike as a legendary action.
Nice. To not be able to hide.
Yep.
That's what the Mind Spike spell does, is it be able to be psychic damage, and they always know where you are. So no more hiding from this dragon.
Yep, which is pretty terrifying for rogues.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry to all my rogues out there. So, moving on from our green dragon to our two well-known upper tier dragons.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry to everyone who likes the other three. These have always been the strongest.
These have always been the scariest.
The red and blue dragons, first of all, they both had their breath weapon reduced in damage, and the blue dragon also had its HP reduced. You're about to see why. Because the legendary actions on the blue dragon are crazy. First of all, it doesn't get pounce.
No pounds for the blue dragon.
It's the only chromatic dragon stat block that doesn't have the pounce legendary action. It just has tail swipe, which is the old tail attack legendary action. Which at first glance you're like, why doesn't blue dragon get pounce? Why can't they pounce?
And then you look a little bit further down the stat block and you see the cloaked flight ability.
Oh yeah. Cloaked flight has got to be the strongest legendary action of all the chromatic dragons. What they do is they, as a legendary action, turn invisible and fly half their move speed. Up 3 to potentially 4 times per round.
Yep, that is very intense. For a creature to turn invisible and then move partly... So... If you're a player and you're fighting a blue ancient or adult blue dragon and it turns invisible, you could think that that's just the ability. And then you could keep attacking where you think the dragon is. But the fact that it also moves afterwards is why it's so scary.
Yes. So not only do you have disadvantage on it, you don't know where it is to hit it. It could be moving up next to whomever to make a legendary action tail attack, or it could just stay invisible and get its breath weapon back, and then breath weapon you from invisible.
Yep.
So that legendary action's crazy. Its third legendary action is called Sonic Boom, where it casts Shatter as a legendary action.
Oh yeah.
Also terrifying. But that cloaked flight is so good.
Scary.
So that's our blue dragon. I would say our blue dragon is very strong.
Oh yeah.
As for our red dragon gets pounce.
Yay!
Yay, pounce. It also gets Fiery Rays, where it casts Scorching Ray as a legendary action.
Yeah.
Once again, 3 to 4 times per round, Scorching Ray.
Pretty good. Deals a lot of damage. A lot of attack rolls too.
Yep. But what really makes our red dragon strong is its Commanding Presence ability.
Oh yes. Red dragons are known for their powerful spells, their powerful fires, and this one is one of the biggest things that makes it scary for its ability to control your players. As a single charge of its legendary action, it's a single charge, right?
Single charge.
It casts command at 2nd level, targeting 2 of your characters.
Yes, so it has a pretty high save DC.
It's a dragon,
It's a dragon. The red dragon can only do this action once per round, but commanding 2 people to grovel
as a legendary action
or flee as a legendary action, and them essentially losing those turns.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's crazy action economy to being able to this red dragon control the field so well.
That's kind of our overview of the stat changes of dragons from 5th edition to 5.5. We have some pretty strong dragons now.
Oh yeah.
So they may have gotten stat nerfs as well as like some HP nerfs, some breath weapon nerfs, but the addition of spellcasting and the major buffs of these legendary actions they make these dragons feel like dragons.
Oh yeah, they're taking so many turns per you guys the players taking the turns. It just feels overwhelmingly scary.
Yeah, so all in all, this new dragon stat block, Wizards set out to buff dragons and make them feel like legendary creatures, and I'd say they're successful.
Give our stamp of approval.
Boom.
Good work.
All right. Stay tuned for the rest of the week because we are going to be posting multiple Dragon Week videos.
Oh yeah.
So stay tuned, keep an eye on our channel, and subscribe so that you don't miss anything.
It's going to be great. Stay put. Stay legendary. Stay put.
Stay put. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most iconic monsters in all of D&D. It's right there in the name.
Dragons.
Yeah!